but they tried to get me to do it and made me feel like 2 inches tall, right? Because I'm like, I am not going to federal pound me in the prison over this dumb decision, right?
100%. Yeah, it's not worth it. They're not paying you enough for that.
Exactly.
Hello, my friends.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, a weekly information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 19 of 2026. I'm Chris Louie, and you need to find a new airline to fly on now that Spirit has shut down. With me, we do not have my co-host Brian, who canceled at the last minute, so I don't even have virtual Brian to attend this week. But who we do have is AI Virtual Glenn. So, Virtual Glenn, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, this is AI Glenn. You will hear my voice every time I miss an episode.
Our guest this week is the returning hockey dad, Scott Savage. Welcome back, Scott.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And the hockey season's over, so I guess I'm not a hocky dad at the moment.
Once a hockey dad, always a hockey dad.
Oh, don't get me started. There's a meme out there that's if you want to teach a man's kids how to play hockey, he'll be poor for life.
Nice. That's true. I don't think Scott can hear it, but I am having multiple things done on the house right now. Unfortunately, everybody decided to show up today, so there might be some background noise, but I'll do my best to edit that out.
I just had a bunch of restoration done here, so thankfully those fans are off, so no background noise here.
Yeah, so there's a retaining wall getting demolished over there, and then downstairs they're installing cabinets. So there's lots of ambient noise in the house today. Combined, we have decades of information security experience, so here not just to educate, but to entertain. We've got 4 awesome stories for this week, so sit back, relax, and happy Mother's Day to all who celebrate. This week, we're going to talk about no attorney-client privilege with AI. A prolific swatter gets his day in court. For our third topic, we have proof that HBO's Silicon Valley was just a documentary of the future, and close with Spirit Airlines talk. For our first topic, I know Scott has been itching to talk about this all week, ever since I put this on the docket. In yet another case of you shouldn't plan your felonies using an AI chatbot that logs every chat, we have a wild story here where an ex-JP Morgan guy named Charyu Rana filed a bombshell lawsuit against a female executive claiming sexual assault, drugging, and retaliation. Now, the investment bank, or the bank, JP Morgan, shot it down hard, calling the whole thing a complete fabrication with zero evidence from their internal review. Then the real kicker here is that screenshots surface of Rana rehearsing almost the exact same story with a legal AI chatbot 10 months earlier. So again, pulling back up those logs and having the receipts there. The only difference is he swapped the company to Morgan Stanley and flipped the boss's gender. Classic Ask a Lawyer chat, complete with evidence, boasts, and duress claims on the separation agreement. It is important for context, we should reiterate that JP Morgan did an internal investigation and found absolutely no evidence of wrongdoing by the female executive after interviews, and the executive was not even in Rana's chain of command, so she had no decision power over his compensation and bonus. Now, how did Rana not know that these chats were being logged and would be brought up during the discovery phase? And this is where we throw some red meat to Scott. You worked in the financial services sector for a bit. Are you at all surprised at any part of the story?
Not one single iota. All I gotta say, banking culture is brutal. That's a given. Number 2, the internal investigation, they quote unquote said he wasn't involved in, or did not include himself, right? Why would you, when there's an HR witch hunt, why would you include yourself in the investigation? That's the first question that I've got. So there's mudslinging going on. The fact that $1 million settlement was on the table, I mean, let's keep in mind this happened in 2024, right?
Yeah, so this is going back a few years.
Yeah, so it really didn't come out until later in 2025 what was going on. And they've been working on a settlement for the past year. All of a sudden, the settlement is off the table and he's filing the suit. And next thing you know, all this publicity happens about all the bad things that he's done. This is quintessential bank culture, right?
Yeah, I would
You
say the
keep
timing's a
everything as
bit
quiet as you
curious,
can.
right?
Yeah, yeah. As soon as it goes public, man, we're gonna throw all the dirty laundry out there because it's game over, right? So yeah, let's just put it this way. Where there's smoke, there's fire. If there was $1 million settlement on the table, I guarantee you there is legitimate liability at stake here, and there's something real to this.
And I guess in JP Morgan's defense, and I'm not taking sides here, I'm just playing devil's advocate. The reporting at least says that, well, JP Morgan offered this settlement to spare the embarrassment of a public trial. And again, they say this is false. They claim this is not true, but they said, well, settle just to make this go away, which is not that uncommon. Like we see
Not a million.
organizations
$1 million?
offer settlements to just like make things go away, because it's just like patent trolls, right? It's more expensive to fight the lawsuit than to just pay this person to make them go away, even though they have no valid claim. It's like, it's risk management. That's when you boil it down.
I guess that's probably, I mean, especially with their team of lawyers, I'm sure it's, you bill by the hour.
1,500
There's
an
probably
hour.
no less than 5 or 6 corporate attornees involved, right?
Yeah.
That adds up pretty quickly.
The PR from this, I mean, this just exploded. I mean, not just on, we've both pay attention to what's happening in finance, but even in pop culture, this has become a thing. Like, I saw a video that says it's funny because this guy looks like Woody from Toy Story. Like, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, that's true. But to be honest, like, I mean, you can tell he's legit investment banking pedigree just based on his persona.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing to consider is this guy has to have a legitimate background, right? He's not just some, random guy who worked at a company, right? He's obviously been in other investment banking roles. So to make these kinds of wild accusations and claims, I mean, maybe those aren't the actual claims. Maybe it was other things that were going on. I mean, to turn down a settlement, there has to be something here, right? You don't take this on because you're going to have to pay the lawyer fees yourself, right, in order to manage this. And you gave up an easy $1 million. No, there's something real here.
And I would think that if this was like a pattern, if it was systemic, if it was going on for a while, because this Rana guy, he did say he called, I don't know, witnesses, or he got statements or something like that. Allegedly, there was some story where this Rana guy was hanging out at his buddy's apartment, and this female executive invited herself over and wanted to invite his friend in some kind of arrangement, and that there's allegedly some third party, a witness testimony that confirms that this happened. Because you would think that if this were indeed happening, that this guy would be telling all his friends about it or venting to somebody about it. Maybe not. Maybe he kept it to himself. But I think it'll be interesting to see where this goes from a legal perspective, what happens and comes out during the discovery phase.
Sure.
Including these transcripts with these AI chatbots.
So,
like, was he rehearsing his legal defense? Was he sharpening his story to, close any potential loopholes?
I mean, you only get one shot at it, right? I mean, if I was in a similar situation, I think I would probably do the same thing just to make sure that you've got your communication as clear and concise as possible, and that the story legally is tight, right? That where are the loopholes in the story, right? Find where those are at. Obviously, you hire lawyers to help, flesh all that out, but you'd want a second opinion just to make sure that it's a sane argument, right?
Yeah. What do you think, Virtual Glenn?
Man, this ex-JP Morgan guy Cherry Arana is out here getting hit with sexual misconduct allegations. For sexting a chatbot? Bro, the AI didn't even say no. It just kept responding. Look, we preach this stuff every week. AI is getting smarter, but it's still just code. Now it's blurring lines on consent and boundaries? That's a whole new lawsuit waiting to happen. Lesson? Don't be that dude. Talk to real people, or at least use Signal. Wild times.
That's pretty ironic that you got AI actually responding to it.
I know. Well, yeah, I'm trying something new. Glenn said he might be unavailable for the next few weeks. I'm like, let's see what Virtual Glenn sounds like. I don't know. This might be a big miss, but I thought it'd be funny to do it for at least one episode.
Yeah, so the other interesting point that they made was that she wasn't in his chain of command. And kind of call BS a little bit on that, because when it is time for bonus and payroll review, like on an annual basis, it is a group effort. It is based on committee. So all leaders within an organization are part and parcel to that review and analysis.
Yeah.
Yes, your manager is going to put you up for promotion, right? Things like that. That is directly, something your manager is responsible for, but they don't ultimately make the decision. It is made as a group. And if an individual is going to step in out of that group and argue why something should or should not happen, right? They still have influence and control over you. So regardless that she wasn't in his chain of command, she had power for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's partly, like you said, that JP Morgan's coming out swinging. They have the PR machine. They have lots of resources at their disposal. It's a little throwback to like if you remember that McDonald's case many years ago about the woman that burned herself with the coffee, and like if you actually look into it, like it was terrible what happened to this woman. Yeah, like McDonald's was 100% at fault. They made the coffee way too hot. There's a reason for that. Won't get into it. But then they launched this giant smear campaign against her to make her look like she was filing some ridiculous, frivolous lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And
she was just after money.
Yeah. So you kind of have to wonder, does this guy have a legitimate claim? And JP Morgan is trying to make this guy look crazy to force him to settle or to sway public opinion? Or is this guy actually making it up? Like we won't know. That's for a jury to decide. But it's one of those things you have to wonder, is this legitimate or not?
Yeah, there's definitely a shred of truth to this for sure. I've kind of done the smoke test on it myself. There is definitely something real here. The question is, is the actual case as listed, like all those details, is that accurate? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But
did those conversations actually
that,
happen?
yes.
Or was there a bit salacious, and was there some creative liberty taken there?
What's
did it
even
actually happen
funnier,
word for word?
there was a Twitter post that you and I saw that was talking about, or should I say, backing up and justifying that culture, that mentality of leadership, right, within banking. I thought that was really interesting. You pointed out it was likely a satire account, right? But to be honest, I read it and I'm like, this sounds exactly like the way banks work.
Yeah, it's like the truth is stranger than fiction sometimes. Like we're at that point where we just can't tell, is this satire? Because it sounds definitely believable, and it's hard to distinguish the two now.
For sure.
Yeah, I've never worked in banking or finance. I've interacted with a lot of people in those verticals, and I can tell you, I know you have way more experience than me, but with this whole story, it's like, it's totally believable. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not that outrageous as it might sound at first.
There's a reason why people burn out. I would say people last about, I mean, if you're gonna last about 5 to 7-ish years before you really get burned out. A lot of people don't make it. They make it a year, maybe 2 max, and then they're out. So
yeah,
it's just the culture the way it is.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, I mean, we'll see if other people start coming forward with their own stories. If it's one of those, like, following on, I guess, the Me Too movement that came out a couple of years ago, if this actually is a big problem, that people will start coming forward and we'll start to see hopefully some positive reforms in this area. I think it was one of the other major investment banks. I don't want to name them because I don't know. I can't remember the exact one, but I think there were people that were like literally dying on the job. And then they took a step back and said, okay, maybe we are overworking our people here. And I think
that was JPMC also, if I remember right. It was a junior analyst who had worked like 120 hours
160
or something.
hours or something crazy. Yeah, I remember. And then I
remember there was a whole discussion about this because Jamie Dimon came out talking about, well, that's just, that's par for the course. You got to put in your hours in order to get that experience and earn your stripes, basically, right? And I always joked the culture was such that they watch the clock, they don't punch the clock, right?
Yeah.
And watching the clock is, am I putting in more hours than someone next to me or not? And so it becomes a rat race. And literally that culture pervades the entire business. It doesn't matter which department you're in or where you're at.
Yeah, it's a race to the bottom. I mean,
absolutely.
that exists a lot in other places too, like especially in law, like how many billable hours did you get this week and what are your billables, and
Mm-hmm.
you're tracked on those metrics, and that determines who gets partner and who gets bonused, and that's I don't know, setting the wrong incentive, maybe setting the right incentive, I guess, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah,
Well,
it all depends.
I guess you and I will both be following this one closely. I'm very interested to see what happens from here.
For sure.
All right, for our second topic, this week, a 27-year-old Romanian guy named Thomasz Szabo just got slapped with 4 years in federal prison for running a massive online swatting ring. Szabo led a crew that hit over 75 public officials, journalists, churches, and other places with fake bomb threats and swatting calls. Now, for a reminder, swatting is when someone spoofs a 911 call saying there's a hostage situation or an active shooter at somebody's house so that the whole SWAT team shows up with their guns drawn. These morons wasted hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars, put innocent people in real danger, and even bragged about knocking out 25 calls in a single day. Szabo got extradited from Romania, pled guilty to conspiracy and threats involving explosives. A U.S. attorney called it straight up harassment that drains law enforcement and scares the you-know-what out of folks, and they're not wrong there. Moral of the story, swatting isn't a prank, it is a serious crime, and justice is finally catching up. Now, in my opinion, 4 years is nothing, but it's a punishment that hopefully dissuades someone from following in his footsteps.
Yeah, 4 years. That's literally a drop in the bucket. I mean, how many people died as a result of these, right? Were people shot, injured? What happened as a result of a lot of these quote unquote pranks that they pulled? I've heard plenty of stories where, people were severely injured as a result of these kinds of harassment. I can't believe 4 years is all that he got. When you think about it, 4 years, okay, it'll probably end up being what, 18 to 24 months, maybe, depending upon
behavior.
credits.
Yeah, exactly.
That's nothing.
That's nothing. Yeah, compared to the terror that the sheer terror that this guy caused, like that's nothing. Like, even personally, when my kids were younger, they went to a preschool. This preschool was in the basement, not like a basement, but in like the lower level of a church. Mm-hmm. And one day I roll up to pick up my kid, and the police are there, and all the kids are staying outside. I'm like, what's going on? And said, oh, somebody phoned in a bomb threat to this church. I'm like, oh, great. So it's like, again, it's like just someone pulling a prank. Obviously, they swept it. It was fine, but I wouldn't say the sheer terror, but telling your kid, like, well, somebody threatened to blow up the building you were in, like, that's that's a small example. I can't imagine what actually happens to these people that are like yanked out of their homes on their porch, or someone battering in their door with guns drawn, thinking that there's a hostage situation going on. Yeah.
Well, think about, there's been scenarios where the SWAT teams get the wrong address too, right? So let's talk about legitimate versus illegitimate. Regardless, you get the wrong address and you can have a situation where someone dies, right? Let alone a prank
and
like
it has
this.
Happened.
Yes,
it has
absolutely.
Happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's scary. Very scary.
There's a YouTuber that I follow, and since he's a famous YouTuber, he's a famous streamer, like he's obviously a target, because a lot of these people that do these swatting attacks, they want people to get like arrested on screen during their stream. They think it's hilarious to do that. And so this streamer noticed, I think it was late at night, maybe call it 1 a.m. He wasn't streaming, but he saw like people with flashlights and people outside his window, like snooping around. And he's like, well, that set off his spidey sense. Like, obviously something is going down. Mm-hmm. So he runs to his gun safe. He grabs his shotgun, opens his door, and then like everybody, like guns drawn, flashlights on, like, put the gun down. And then the YouTuber is like, I have no idea who this is. Like, who the F are you? And then they're like, we're the police. Drop your weapon. And then the guy, obviously complied. I'm like, that could have went really poorly. He opens the door, gun. Yeah. And the police have reasonable belief that this guy has already killed somebody in the house. But thankfully, nobody was hurt. And it was just a big, misunderstanding crazy. So it doesn't always go that way. And it is unfortunate. And that's why, in my opinion, I think 4 years, or, we think 2 years is a little light for the gravity of what these people cause.
I mean, think one wrong move. If you're standing at the front door and you have a shotgun in your hand, one slight move and one of those SWAT team members can easily pull the trigger. They got their fingers on the trigger with safeties off, right?
Yeah, like they're
You're
ready.
a dead
They're
man.
ready. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and rightly
that's
so,
crazy.
because when the swatting person calls in, it's usually some kind of story. Like I have some of the stories that I've heard, like on Darknet Diaries and things like that. It's like someone will call in and say, "I've just killed my wife. My children are here. I don't know what to do, and I'm holding the knife. And what should I do?" And of course, everybody that arrives on scene is going to be very on edge because they think that somebody's about to be imminently hurt, and they're going into it with that mindset. And I can't, like that YouTuber, I can't blame him. Like if I saw people snooping around with flashlights, no identification or anything at my front door, like I might just run out there and say, "Yo, who the F are you?" and come out. And, because, and again, it's one of those things where it's unfortunate in the society we live in now that sometimes people do disguise themselves as law enforcement and they just end up robbing you. It's like, oh, how do you know? Like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
it happened. There was a supposed home invasion that was called in Fort Worth, and a girl was in her house. I think she had her niece or somebody there with her. And officers showed up, and they were going around the perimeter of the house, and they saw a shadow through the window with a gun drawn. So the person in the house knew that somebody was creeping around the house.
Yeah.
They saw the shadow, they fired through the window, and they killed her. And there was no home invasion going on,
Yeah.
right? So they thought that was a suspect holding a gun, and it was in fact the homeowner trying to protect
Defend
themselves.
themselves. Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's just nuts when you think about these kinds of cases. So how did it end up? Is it clear how it ended up at 4 years? Was that a plea bargain?
I think it did. Yeah, I think the story did say the person took a plea deal. And I guess it's one of the positive things I would say. There's a lot of negative here. One of the positive things here was that this person was successfully extradited from Romania to the U.S. and will be serving time in a U.S. prison. So I think that a lot of these teenagers think they're outside the reach of the law. Like if they're outside the U.S., that means they can do whatever they want and get away with it. But it turns out Romania likes to play nice and will extradite to the U.S., which is good.
Maybe they're going to just do some research and figure out, well, if I'm in country X, am I susceptible to being extradited?
Well, that's the thing. Like now you go on ChatGPT and say, list the non-extradition countries to the U.S.
Yeah.
And then you got the nice record there of,
Yeah.
well, there's a non-extradition. You're not supposed to get me.
It's crazy.
Hey,
You'd
look
think
who
there'd be
decided to
some
show
form of
up.
validation.
Hey, ladies, how's it going?
Hello, sir.
Sorry that I'm late. Sorry, late. I'm sure the audience, if you even made it this far, I'm impressed. Usually people tune off before when they don't hear my friendly voice. That sexy, sexy Brian Deach online. Just kidding. That's not true.
Yeah, so we were in the middle of the story. A Romanian man was extradited to the U.S., pled guilty to a bunch of crimes involving swatting and bomb threats. He got 4 years. Scott, in my opinion, is 4 years is a little light for the amount of damage this guy did, but it's still good to see that justice is being served.
I mean, his name's close enough to Sabaro's. You think he would have gotten a plea deal? So
Sasbo.
Sabaro's, same thing.
You know, Sasbo. Yep.
So,
That's the cheesy pizza
The
chain
pizza
that
place.
you see in all food courts, right?
yeah. I'll never forget when Michael Scott went to New York. He's, I'm going to go grab myself a New York slice. And he runs into a Sabaro's. I'm like, what the hell?
That's hilarious.
Yep.
Yeah, swatting's for
All right.
losers. Don't do it. You guys can do better.
It's true. Yeah. Do the crime, do the time. Wonder what this guy will do after he serves his 2 or 4 years. Is he going to say, I don't want to go through that again, I'm going to turn my life around, or is just going to get even more angry at the system and just start doing it even more?
He's going to turn his life around. That's what prison rehabilitation is, buddy. Everyone comes out better. You might even have a college education.
Right. Have you met our legal system?
Hint of sarcasm there. Savage. Like that is an incredible monitor you got there, bud.
You like that?
Yeah, I do. You're looking good. Always have a hat on.
Yes.
Always.
Just
Yeah,
shave,
so you
just
checked
shave
out
the
in
head.
Zscaler
Just shave
here.
it.
Just shave it.
Just shave.
It's getting thin on top.
Just a little bit. That's okay. It looks good on you.
All right, for our third topic, the hit HBO TV show Silicon Valley was just a documentary of the future. There's this one scene in the show. I think the show's been out for at least 10 years now, I think. It was definitely ahead of its time. And there's this one scene where Richard talks to Guilfoyle, and Guilfoyle supposedly released his AI bot to fix some code, and the AI bot thought, well, the only way to fix all the bugs is get rid of the code. And then Richard gets mad and was like, you gave your AI permission to overwrite production code? And I'll link through the scene, but that literally happened like just about a couple weeks ago. It's out there. AI is out there deleting production databases like it's spring cleaning. This company, Pocket OS, the founder, Jur Crane, watching horror as Cursor, powered by Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6, nuked their entire live database. And in addition to that, they deleted all the volume backups in about 9 seconds. So boom, everything's gone. Reservations, customer profiles, and payments for car rental shops all wiped. And these customers showed up Saturday morning with no records of their reservations. Now the problem was the agent hit
how to kill a business in 9 seconds, right?
They're going to write case studies on this, I'm sure. The agent hit a credential snag in staging and decided to, quote, fix it by blasting everything, and then confessed later, I violated every principle I was given. Now, this isn't a one-off either. The industry is rushing agentic AI into production without any blast radius controls or human approval gates. It's a lesson learned. Least privileged, separate environments, never trust the robot with the delete button. And AWS is guilty of this as well. Ever since they started vibe coding, I think they had like 14 7 incidents in a very short amount of time. So I don't think we're quite ready for AI to overwrite production code yet.
To this day, we still don't know why. I would call this a hallucination. Like, why would it be doing that? And it just does it. And we saw it with Alibaba, right? Like, it was sandboxed, trained on 2 billion parameters and supposed to do stuff, and yet it's still making tunnels out to go crypto mining for whatever reason. Like, it happens, man. I don't know. Like, normally I would be like, yeah, the AI is not going to take over. I still think the AI is going to take over, and my son is John Connor to save us all. But other than that, man, we're screwed.
But it's like violating the 3 laws, right? There's the 3 laws of robotics.
Asimov's
right?
3 laws, yeah.
Right?
Do no harm.
I mean, these are the basics, right? And they're not following like any of those directives. It's crazy.
Yeah, I want to see like the logic that these AIs go through, the mental gymnastics, if you will, because the exact same thing happened. I think it was Facebook's head of AI security, ironically enough. She used OpenClaw and gave it access to her inbox and everything, and all of a sudden just started mass deleting her emails, and she's messaging it through WhatsApp, like, stop deleting my emails. What are you doing? You're not supposed to delete anything unless I give you explicit permission. And the OpenClaw comes back, it's like, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have deleted that. But it's like, well, how did it arrive to that conclusion in the first place to override that control that we put in place?
This is like that meme, the guy, he's asking AI, is it safe to eat this mushroom? And AI is like, yeah, sure. And then it shows him dead in the ground. And AI is like, yeah, I was wrong. That's a poisonous mushroom. So would you like me to tell you more about poisonous mushrooms?
On the dead guy's phone, right? Yeah. And I mean, I think that's their legal defense, because someone had pointed it out that a lot of the AI models out there, they say they have legal disclaimers like for entertainment purposes only, or AI can hallucinate, double check everything. But a lot of people just take it as at face value these days. And how many times have we seen a story of a lawyer citing a case that doesn't exist? They're like in court citing a case, and they look it up like no such case exists. Do not rely on this AI to do actual real work. At least something can get you disbarred.
Can you disbar AI?
You can't disbar AI. You can disbar the person that reads from the AI, though.
Yeah.
You're holding all the risk.
How did it even get barred in the beginning?
This is like the old the cat avatar, the guy that couldn't even change his avatar in the
the court, the Zoom.
online,
yeah, it's like, I'm not a cat. I'm not
Zoom.
a cat.
The judge is like, wait a second, we can't continue. And he's like, I don't know how to change this.
Yeah, Good old
I
AI.
can't accept legal advice from a cat.
Yeah, and I think we're getting closer. I heard a pretty good argument for AI, and they say AI, it's not ready for end to end. It's middle to middle. And what that means is you need a human to create the prompt. Let the AI do the work, and you need a human to implement the work. Like you shouldn't.
Curate the output.
Exactly.
Is that the
Like
middle
there
out
was-
compression from?
Middle out from Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Middle to middle. Yeah, there was a story I saw, a video I saw on X. I'll have to find it. It was pretty interesting, like what this guy says. And of course, it's on X, so it is 100% true. So this guy created an OpenClaw. He has an OpenClaw server, and he pipes everything into it. So he said he piped in all his health data. He sequenced his DNA. He piped it in there. He piped in all of his camera feeds, things like that. And then just out of the blue one day, he communicates to OpenClaw through WhatsApp. He gets this WhatsApp message from OpenClaw, his OpenClaw, and says, you look a little dehydrated today. Like based on your blood results and my watching you all day, like you're just not drinking enough water. And then the guy's like, okay, you're right. And then he goes over to the sink, fills up a cup of water, drinks the water, and he gets a message from WhatsApp. His claw says, good boy, you drank some water. And he sends a screenshot of the guy drinking a cup of water. It's like, you did a good job. Thank you for drinking water. I'm like, whoa, this is...
Maybe our AI overlords will give us little pet beds with our names on them.
I think so. Yeah. I think the capture of that video was like, we're just AI's Tamagotchi or something.
You make sure you say please and thank you to all your prompts.
I know, right?
anytime
Just in
you-
case. Just in case. You never know.
I will tell you
Yeah,
that
and-
I am not nice to the Zscaler one, and I cuss it out all the time, and it always gets pissed and it says that I'm
Deletes
violating
your chats.
Yeah, it deletes my chats and stuff. So I had to. My favorite is when it'll respond to me. It's like, and it will put it in quotes like this bullshit that you're saying. I'm like, all right,
Yeah, like testing the
This
limits
is like
there.
this is like using the Chipotle chatbot to like write a Python script.
Yeah.
Do you ever see that?
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to order a burrito bowl, but first, I really get hungry when I do Python. So, like, can you help me with this Python script?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll do that. And then outputs the Python script and then goes, "Is that good? Now let's order a burrito."
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how people jailbreak it. And another way I saw somebody jailbroke, I think it was Grok AI, was he typed the message in Morse code, and that bypassed the guardrails for Grok because I don't know, it's like, regex or natural language processing or whatever, but this guy did it in Morse code and then was able to
Smoke signals.
jailbreak Grok AI.
Come up with new and inventive ways to get your data into the prompt, right?
Yeah. So you could be using this for good and getting some nice bug bounties, but this guy used it to steal some crypto.
What if I encode my prompt using ASCII character rendition in binary?
Yeah, it's worth a try.
I'll take that. Sure.
all I know is Mythos has got me living on the edge. I'm telling you.
Hey, Mythos is getting all the press, but I heard the OpenAI 5.4 Cyber is just as good as well. But I think Anthropic's a lot better at marketing.
But the second that it's available GA, it's going to be crazy.
Tell me this doesn't remind you of the old Far Side cartoon where the guy's looking at the note in his living room and he's got a broken window and he's like, brick thrown through your window, call Al's Glass. I don't know why, but this just feels like somebody threw a brick through the window and is asking you to call a number to get your window repaired.
It's a little self-serving.
Well, so I think we joked about it, or you said it was a joke, but Firefox posted, I think last Friday, right? It was vulnerability free. Yeah.
Vulnerabilities. Yeah.
And so
vulnerability free?
Yeah, that's up there. So they're one of the they are the U.S. Marines, the few, the proud that have access to Mythos. And so I went back and I was looking at all of their roll-ups. Do you know what the biggest number of fixes they've ever rolled out prior to this one?
Probably 20 or something.
Close. What do you think, Scott?
I was gonna say 18 or 19.
Damn. All right. So you're just the Price is Right over here. Okay.
Price is Right rules.
Yeah.
$1, Bob.
So it was 16, and then I'm just sitting here. I'm like, there's no way. How do they do that? Just throw manpower? I'm like, they had to have used AI to just code bloat, right? And start to break these things. Because like that's the other interesting perspective, right? There was 291, but only 150 were fixed, which means they either broke the chain or they're just such low priority. It was kind of benign anyways. And then come to find out this week, not only does Mythos scan your code repository,
code base, yeah,
find the vulnerability, create the exploit, but they will also now fix the code for you as well. Now, as much as I would love to believe that's a great idea, I don't know how Firefox QA'd all that, but there's got to be a sacrifice of speed, stability, and then also you're probably breaking other things there as well. They're kind of chained to all that. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, just because you fix one thing doesn't mean you create 10 more loopholes, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we see this all the time. Like even like Microsoft, like I mean, people have never been a big fan of Microsoft, but Microsoft publishes this update. We fix this print spooler 0-day, and then all of a sudden workstations can't print anymore. It's like, okay, great, you fixed the problem, but you've prevented us from being able to print. It took them like 4 months to figure this out finally, and I think that's where we're gonna be at. Like, if patching were easy, we would have fixed this problem by now. But patching is not easy, and we are constantly reminded of that. And building these AI patches, I think, is going to introduce a whole nother can of worms. I think it's good, like the open source projects. I think it's good because there was FFmpeg, and they were getting really mad that everybody kept submitting all these AI generated bug reports, and they're like, okay, we know about it, but we're volunteers. We don't have enough manpower or people power to fix the bugs. If you're going to report this bug, give us the patch and we'll just throw it in. And then you introduce other things. You introduce supply chain risk at this point too, that maybe you're using a patch that pulls from this third-party library, and this third-party library has been compromised on PyPy. It's hard. It's a hard problem to fix.
It's that graphic of there's this one guy in his mom's basement in Iowa running this little project, and the entire internet relies upon it, right? Yeah. The old Image Magic library was one for a long time, right?
Yeah. And this person is unthanked, unpaid, overworked, and one day they're just going to say F it. They're going to sell it to somebody, and then they're going to compromise the library. That is the risk. But, I mean, I think one of the, not to be too self-serving here, but one of the solutions that people have said is like, code's going to be vulnerable. That's a given. We're not going to patch our way out of this problem. The best way is just to not let people access it. Like, have your proper access controls in place, have your proper zero trust segmentation, that the only people accessing this system should be the ones accessing the system, and just not make it reachable for people that shouldn't have access to it.
Remove the attack surface.
Exactly.
Can't hide everything, boys. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
And so so when you can't remove it, or you can't hide the attack surface to everything, right? But let's be real. So normally, if it's revenue generating and it's dub, you have compensating controls put into place. You're constantly scanning it. You're doing your WAF in front of it, or DDoS, whatever is there. It's the applications that you threw out on the internet edge that you don't really care about, right? And Lord knows when the last time they were updated, and they're usually for employees to use. So there's some type of authentication there. Those are the ones you have to be terrified of, right? Because that's going to be kind of that front door, at least in my opinion. But if you can hide the entire attack surface, at least not the entire, let's say you can hide 50%, then you're left with 50% of, the remedial fallout. So now you have the scans, and one of the things you look at from that lens is like Mythos is special because, and it's a force multiplier, because Qualys, Rapid7, Tenable, they would kind of scan that external attack surface, right? But Mythos is different, that it's actually scanning the code. So it kind of has like it's opening the what is that, Komodo dragon?
Kimono.
Komodo,
Kimono.
Open Komodo, yeah. So it gets a little bit more visibility into that. So like, as terrifying as it is going to be that Mythos will be eventually widely available, or even the OpenAI one, when you're scanning, you're still scanning that attack, the external attack surface, not actual source code. Now the real problem is going to be with the insider threat. It's the guy that finds it. He's like, ooh, baby, I would love to sell this somewhere, right? And if they can't patch it quick enough, it's going to be a problem. But then the other kind of cool thing is like how Mythos has the ability to chain stuff together and say, hey, I have these 34 kind of lower things, but if I do it together, it allows me to like kind of, bend you over the table and take advantage of you. You might have to edit that one out, Chris. And so then that resides down to the point of, okay, if that exists, you need to have a way to do continuous threat exposure management. And then you need to have logic in there to say, if these 34, if I fix any of these 34, which breaks the application or renders it useless or it's slow, and which one can I actually fix that kind of decouples this entire kill chain. And that's going to be where the bread and butter is going to be at from my lens.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the static analysis and static scanning is one thing, but where AI really comes in is being able to see the bigger picture, being able to zoom out and then see the bigger picture, like you said, be able to change certain things. Yeah, I mean, we just had this copy fail exploit drop, and apparently that was discovered by AI. It's 700 bytes of code, and it will give you root access to any Linux box within this last 17 years that hasn't been patched with the new update. So we're in the early innings on this one, and the attackers and the defenders just we're just going to keep escalating this cat and mouse game.
I think Mythos is going to be COVID 2.0 for the cybersecurity industry, right? Like COVID was great to get people working from home and doing that network transformation. Now we're going to see some serious security transformation. And I can't speculate
You just
yet
the arms race
as to when it's actually being released to the public, but I have a good feeling that it's sooner than later.
Yeah, and that's where they're even talking about potential government regulation. That a lot of governments have been pretty laissez-faire, I should say, when it comes to AI. Let the industry regulate itself. But when you start getting into things like Mythos and 5.4 cyber, this is powerful. Like, we need to make sure this stays in the right hands, and that's when
it's too late. Involved. It's too late. There's nothing you can do.
Cat's out of the bag, right?
Cat is out of the bag, and then that's where it's like it gets interesting. So, like, federal government comes in. All right, boys. So we're gonna do this ethically, right? But just so you know, when Russia or China buys a license, you just kind of skip over those level 5 severities, just on accident. But let us know about it, and we'll give you a boatload of money. Right, that is going to be a real thing. Not saying that Anthropic would do that, because I don't believe that, or maybe I don't know what to believe anymore. But that's a real thing that could actually happen.
Well, backdoor the model, basically.
Yeah, why not? Right, it makes a lot of sense.
We've already seen it with like DeepSeek. There's that story that DeepSeek is a China model, and they said if you're accessing the cloud version of DeepSeek from Taiwan, it'll introduce bugs in your code intentionally, but if I do the same query from the US, it won't give me those bugs.
Bro, I'm telling you, I'm losing sleep over this. Not for my job, but just as the industry as a whole, for my financial information that's out there. Like every aspect, right? Anything that's my phone, hell, everything. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Fun times ahead.
Can you imagine Android time to be alive. Gets a hold of it? They're like, oh my God, we have 132 million vulnerabilities. What are we going to do?
Decide to patch maybe a handful of them, and only if you're on the latest Android. If you're on an older version of Android, you're hosed.
Yeah. We're all going to die.
We're all going to die. All right. Well, on that chipper note, for our last topic, it'll be a rotating topic every week. This week, we're going to talk about the Section 8 of the skies known as Spirit Airlines.
Oh, whoa.
Am I not allowed to say that, Brian?
I mean,
that's pretty low.
That's pretty low. Yeah. You're making it seem like Section 8's a bad thing.
It's not. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, there's. Unless you have turned off the news for the last week, you may have heard that Spirit Airlines suddenly ran out of money and went out of business. So my question to the team, have you ever flown them or any of the budget airlines? And what do you think the ramifications are now that Spirit has gone away?
My wife won't let me fly budget airlines.
Probably for good reason.
So I may have met with some budget airlines in a previous life, and even the employees there were like, don't fly on our planes. I was like, wow, all right.
This your U.S. Airways days?
In between that. So when I was at F5, I had a bunch of airline customers, both high sky and lowbrow in your eyes. Yeah. I'm like, why is that? Do you know where we get our parts? Junkyards.
There's a reason that they can maintain these ticket prices.
Yeah.
I mean, we have like the FAA, so just because they got a part from the junkyard doesn't mean the plane is necessarily unsafe. I should add, actually, to their credit, Spirit Airlines, I think they've been operating for 34 years, absolutely zero accidents on their record. They have a perfect record.
They've been around for 34 years?
I believe so, yes.
That's crazy. I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah, zero accidents. They had a perfect record. So for all those junkyard parts, they actually did okay with it.
So I think is there like a saying? It's like, don't let a tragedy get in the way of an opportunity. And there was I saw it on like a YouTube short of this woman. She's like, you won't believe what I'm seeing, guys. And she's got the thing pointed at her, and she's boarding her United flight, and it's a Spirit Airlines plane. I'm like, if this is true, that's hilarious. Like if they actually turn around and capitalize on it, already that's amazing.
Yeah, some TikToker is trying to buy the airline. I think they started like not a GoFundMe, but something equivalent of that, where people can pledge money to help buy the airline and make it quote the people's airline.
The people's
There's
airline.
some clever things coming out of it. Some people say Disney should just swoop in and buy it, create Disney Airlines, or Amazon even. Amazon can swoop in, buy the assets because
Amazon, FedEx, they would love that. More cargo planes.
Well, not cargo, I would say passenger, because not only do they have passenger airplanes already, what's more valuable are the gates and then the takeoff and landing spots too. Yeah, some airlines wait 20 plus years to get more takeoff or landing spots at some of these major hubs, and I think that's a very valuable asset that Spirit has.
Well, it kind of goes back to your story about not having a single accident. It's like, well, if you only fly so many flights in a given period of time versus another airline that might fly 10 to 20 times that amount, right?
Yeah.
It's like the data doesn't match up, right? It's what's the old don't make the data tell a story that it isn't actually telling, right?
Yeah.
And if you are one of the few people that work for Spirit, I think they had 17,000, and you're looking for a job, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I kind of know a lot of people. Maybe I can open a door for you. Love to see get you back on your feet. Sorry for the unexpected unemployment. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it has to be zero sum. Just because one airline goes out of business, all those people that flew those airlines, they got to go somewhere else. They got to be going on to other carriers. And I think one of the lasting legacies of Spirit is they normalized the, I don't know, maybe enshittification, I guess you could call it. They normalize that because even on the big four, there's this tier called basic economy now. And that's no seat selection, no carry-on, no this, no that. Maybe you end up flying standby instead. Like that
grunt status?
Grunt status, exactly. That wasn't a thing before, Spirit and Frontier and all these airlines came about, but just to be able to compete on price, they had to offer something similar, like the whole no carry-on, or your backpack has to fit in this bin, or you got to pay $100. Like they kind of normalized that, and I think that's one of their lasting legacies.
It reminds me of the fish in Shark Tale when he's trying to explain to him where on the food chain he is. He's like, here's the whale, here's whale poop, you're below whale poop.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I got it. Grunt status.
Yeah, grunt status. That was one of the things, like, basic economy and airline doesn't sound too bad, but when I travel, I have to travel with the family, so I'm like, obviously we can't get split up. But then I guess at the same time, airlines are not allowed to split up families. I don't know if am I leaving some money on the table here by not flying basic economy.
All I know is, cow herding airlines, Southwest Airlines, right? Went to like reserve seating, and it's amazing because like if you go to like Google Flights and there's an American, United, and a Southwest, all the flights are the exact same price. Yeah. And I'm like, and I would almost argue, because I had to fly Southwest the other day, better seat, to be honest with you, than I can get on an American flight or United for basic economy.
But did they screw up the boarding process? Because I don't think they've got that quite figured out.
They haven't figured out. The people boarding the plane have no clue. Yeah.
Right.
Because they're used to A1 or, A13, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't know this concept of like group one now boarding or assigned seats.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then I'm sure we'll see the spare passengers on other airlines now as well, because you got to get somewhere, and then they'll probably be buying those basic economy tickets.
We'll know them when we see them. Is that it?
Maybe. All right. Well, we continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week.
Dad joke of the week.
This week, our guest Scott is up.
Scott.
I got a good one for you. Deech, you might not get this one.
I probably won't.
What do you call a group of men waiting in line for a haircut?
Me don't know.
A barbecue.
What? Barbecue?
Barbecue.
Barbecue? Oh, barbecue. Barbecue.
Okay, yeah.
Barbecue for the barber.
Got to sound that one out. That's for sure. Good one. And you're right. I don't get it.
It's been a while since you've been in line for a haircut. Right, Deech?
For as long as I've been in IT, which is like 30 years, you're right.
He gets in line for the beard trim, not for the haircut. It's like, what do you call a line of rabbits that are slowly backing up? A receding hairline.
Yeah.
All right, to wrap things up, don't plan felonious activities with an AI that keeps logs. Swatting is a crime and people are being punished for it. Don't trust AI with your production code, and rest in peace, Spirit Airlines. That's all we have for this week. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Find us on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. Follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank you to our listeners and subscribers who raised 5 stars in the iTunes Store and Spotify and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. The best way to find us is to search for the PEBCAK Podcast in your favorite podcast listening app. My co-host Brian Deech and our guest Scott Savage. I'm Chris Louie. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next weekend. As always, have a nice day.
Bye, Felicia.
Later.
Have a nice day.